Good? Fabulous. Hello everyone. I've got to say, it's the first time I've been to Lancaster, and it's really nice to hear like a fallow northern accent, because I'm always in bloody London, and everyone's like, you northerner? And I'm like, I'm from Stoke, I'm the Midlands, okay? Not quite northern, but it's nice to hear like, hey up, you know, anyway. I'm Charnelle, and yes, I'm here to talk to you about this very corporate title, the digital trust gap, but it actually goes off the back of what you've already just been talking about, of credibility and trust. And ultimately, I'm going to talk to you in very plain English about the psychology of trusting people, and the fact that things are now online so much and our community isn't offline, it's there, it's in our phones, it's where we escape. So it's how we build that trust with people, and particularly, obviously, because I work with content creators, it's how do you know which ones are real, which ones are authentic, which ones are selling you a Korean face mask to make your skin look like glass and is actually really true. I know, really relevant to DIY, I get it. Anyway, so what do I know? I started my agency just less than a year ago. I won these 2 awards within 6 months purely because I've disrupted the industry and how I've been doing this agency. But I come from the corporate world, I come from the brand background. I actually worked in the automotive industry for 10 years. And the reason I went into DIY and home improvement sector is multiple reasons. One, I'm a bit of a serial DIYer, so I've lived in 26 houses, and no, I'm not a traveller, before you ask that question. But my parents bought and sold houses. They were very much the working class kind of backgrounds. They knew they couldn't get rich doing their jobs. They were posties and nursery nurses. So before the big tax thing came in, where if you bought a house and sold it within 2 years, you had to pay like a business tax, they bought a house, did it up themselves, sold it, got a bit of a bug, and then therefore that meant I had 6 schools before I was 10. Absolutely fine. Made me have great social skills. And also, here I am, you know, 34 years later. So yes, I'm in the home improvement sector for that specific reason, and amongst other reasons. But ultimately what I do is I work with brands because I've seen, coming from the brand world, a big gap in how they work with content creators. A lot of content creators are kind of used in a way to sort of improve marketing or build on trust, and the way they use them isn't really the right way of doing it. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what the right way should be, and it's different for different niches, but I'm going to talk to you about specifically my niche. So any questions, obviously, feel free to ask at the end, but that's a little bit about me. So anyone who's a marketeer or an expert in this area will know what the audience reality is. We all go on our phones to escape, to get away from whatever is in front of us, whether it be our 4-year-old pulling our leg while we're on the toilet, or whether it is that we're just bored at work and we need a break. We go online to escape, we educate ourselves, we entertain ourselves. That's why we're going on our phone. And also sometimes to search and learn, you know. And everybody in the search space will know that it's built on credibility, authority and accuracy, everything that Amanda has just said. Trust is shifting away from brand-owned sources. We've been talking about this for a very long time. When you're looking at a product, if you were to buy a Jaguar or a Land Rover, if you're lucky enough to have that kind of income, do you go to TikTok and look at the Jaguar page? Probably not. But you're probably following an influencer that's talking about their car, and it's subconsciously there all the time. A lot of the time, this is how trust is built on brands. That type of content that comes out from those kind of brands is very engineered and can work for certain things, but not always for trust. If you want to go to trust something, it's that old saying of we buy from people, people buy from people, and this is where content creators are so valuable in this space, and obviously something I'm very passionate about. So being real is beating being beautifully polished, and obviously specifically in the home improvement space. If you go online and you're wanting to put some paneling on your wall because that's the trend at the moment and that's massive, are you going on to the B&Q website to seeing how it's done? You've probably seen it from somebody on TikTok and you've scrolled past and gone and shown your partner, I'm going to go and buy some paneling from B&Q because I've just seen this woman do it herself, because she's corked it herself and everything, so therefore I can do it. You trust that person because you've seen somebody like you do it. So this is where the trust is built. So search delivers information, absolutely. Creators deliver the confidence. That's where this, I think there's a holy trinity, personally, between search, paid ads, and creator usage. I think that is, if you're doing marketing well, that is a golden space to be in between those three, amongst everything else too, but those are the 3 pinnacles that I've seen work really, really well with brands recently. And the reason it's working is because it feels real and it feels human. In an era of AI coming about now, even if it's on a blurry camera, it still feels real. It doesn't feel too polished, so therefore you can relate to it a little bit more. That's going to confuse the hell out of me. So, Trust is the new currency. This is what everyone is saying. You'll hear it a lot in the creator economy. I've heard it just today off Creator Fest. So there's a guy called Gordon Glenister who's massive in the creator economy. He wrote a book. He's got his own influencer strategy. He's doing incredibly well. He's literally posted today about being on stage and trust being the new currency. You know when you read something and you're like nodding at everything? That's exactly what I did when I read his post. Go and read his post. It's very, very good about the creator economy. According to Forbes, from last year, 50% of UK consumers are now buying from influencer content alone. And that's not specific to my niche, that's just influencer in general. That's huge. We've got, 70 million people in the UK? So quick maths, 35 million people are buying from influencer. We need to be tapping into this space in the right way, in the authentic way, to make sure it's real and relatable and it's credible. So I like this. Brands that behave with a personality are the ones that win. Who knows about Aldi's marketing strategy? How brilliant are they when they attack other brands online? It's hilarious to watch. It reminds me a little bit of like when you look online in America and they have those diners and they have like sign wars. That's kind of what Aldi are doing, but online. People remember that. This is where brands can win sometimes, is when they do behave like a bit of a personality. And that can be done dependent on sector, and it can be done dependent on their client. Obviously, Aldi's a very typical, it's a specific type of client. And you would think that doesn't really suit the luxury environment. Well, it can do, and I'll tell you where else it's worked. Jaguar, a very few years ago, they did an advert where them and I think it was Audi went at each other. If you haven't seen this advert, go after Audi and Jaguar. So Audi put out this advert and they were holding a chicken and they were doing this with the chicken and the chicken's head was staying still but the whole body was moving, and you'd think, what the hell's this got to do with the car? But it was all about, you know, how the car turns and how it's got control, and it was a bit of an attack at Jaguar at the time because they'd had some stuff in the news where they weren't doing so well. Jaguar came back and a guy was holding a chicken and he was doing with this chicken, the thing with the chicken, the same thing but taking the mick a little bit, and after a while the chicken wasn't really moving in the same way, but the Jaguar just came and ate the chicken. I was like, brilliant. So it can be done in the luxury level, but yes, brands that act like personalities, they are the ones that are winning right now. Now if they don't want to take that strategy because it's not for everybody, completely recognise that, you need to be working with content creators, especially the ones that are doing it consistently, and I'm going to talk about where that works and how that works in a little bit. So a lot of people in the content creator space, they will test things with certain creators. They will go, oh, I know, Molly May is really good with all the fashion stuff because she's got a load of young girls following her. So every fashion brand will go after her. But the ones that are winning are people like Pretty Little Thing, where she signed like £1 million something deal and she was working with them over a year. You know, that is not these one-off transactional deals. It was that long-term partnership. That's how this creator economy is going, and that's where it's working really well because it's consistent messaging. And as I said before, it's showing up in real, honest, relatable ways. Speaking of Molly May, so I know I'm in the home improvement sector, but all of this is relevant to every sector, and I bet most of you will know at least one of those things that is on the screen. So, social proof. Why? The psychology of trust is very simple. It doesn't need to relate specifically to the creator economy, but as we're talking about the creator economy, when you go online and you're buying something online, hands up actually, who has bought something from an ad or something they've seen off TikTok and Instagram? Put your hands up. I know I have. I bought my Butlins holiday from there because Mr. Tumble was 149 quid instead of 500. Most people. There you go. So it's the social proof. This is people that look like me or act like me or aspirational that I want to be. Those are the people that I'm buying from. So I want to look like Kim Kardashian. I'm not gonna, but I want to because she's got Skims and she's got these body hugging things, and I trust her because I want to be her. But also Molly May, such a normal person, very down to earth. Most people relate to her, especially the younger crowd, especially younger females. They will relate to her because she's just normal. She shows up in her own authentic way, in her voice. She isn't polished, well she is now because she's an influencer star, but when she first started out she was just very normal. She puts her whole heart online and people see it and they feel like they're her friend. They feel like they know her, and that's her community now. So it's the social proof. I bought this because people look like me or I want to be that person. Does everybody remember the M&S phase on TikTok when food was coming out from an M&S, and it was only about a year or so ago, and everything was being sold out, and that happened organically. I mean, they jumped on the back of it and then started engineering it, but this was Sharon from down the road posting on TikTok, running to M&S at 6 o'clock in the morning and posted about it, and people were going mental for it. And this is the whole, we believe things because they're real, not because they're perfect. I mean, Sharon down the road doesn't shop at M&S, but she did for them bloody cookies, you know, because she saw something in it that other people wanted, you know, that her friends wanted. So it's that whole relatable, it's not perfect, but it's real. And then we trust people that we feel like we know. I have never met Kim Kardashian, but I know everything about her. I don't even watch the Kim Kardashians. Like, I just know everything about them. So therefore, if I'm going to buy any kind of body shaping stuff, I'm going to buy it from her because I feel like I know her, because she's the one that's talked about the most. And it's the most relatable thing to me, because I think she's going to be great because she has that great body. She's using that body sculpting. I feel like I know everything about her. So therefore, I'm going to buy into it. So it's that building trust in different ways. And obviously that's different depending on the brand, the campaign, the niche. Now, let me go back to DIY, because I've talked about Molly May and Kim Kardashian. But DIY, so does anybody know who Scott DIY is? If you don't, go and look him up. He's a great guy, he's on my roster, so obviously I'm going to sell him. He's got nearly 1 million followers. He's your average guy. About 4 years ago, he bought a house. He was in marketing for years, and he was an office guy. He realised that house needed a load of renovation, and in the same week he got his keys, he found out he's expecting a baby. And he was like, crap, what am I going to do? I've got to do this house, and we've got like no running water, everything. He packed in his job, and he forced the learning of DIY. He grew his audience. He went viral practically overnight because he went, I've just quit my job and I'm going to build an own house extension, and I'm not a builder. So you can imagine that's rage bait right there. You know, people, all the builders going, what, are you kidding me? You know, you need to do this, you need to do that. But the following in the community around him helped him because of his story. That is an authentic following. When you've got somebody who's got that real authentic following and a community that's trying to help, that is when trust is done right. And that when the trust is done right with a brand collaboration, that's people like MKM building merchants, you know, somebody who wants to actually help this person do that renovation project. It's B&Q, because he'll put on his stories quite naturally, I'm in B&Q again today, guys, because this has happened on my house. This is how the trust is done right. It's well aligned, it's well matched, it matches the creator in a really, really authentic way. When it's not done right, is imagine that Scott now has been approached by an AI system. Oh, there's a new AI system, the one of the week, where we're going to be telling you that this system is the best way to design your house. So if you just scan this room and tell your audience that this is the new best system, his audience aren't going to believe it, because that's not what he's been talking about for the last 5 years. He's been talking about getting splinters in his hands and cutting off fingers because he's been using the wrong tool, you know. It doesn't match. So it's not to say that AI content doesn't work, but it wouldn't work for this particular match, if you understand what I'm saying. So why this matters to search experts? So search delivers the information, creators deliver the brief. So consumers can often form opinions before they search, but then the search will obviously help them find that in a more specific way. In the DIY space in particular, so I was saying earlier, 50% of people are buying from influencer content. That's 35 million people in the UK. 1 in 4 of those 35 million have said that they've actually bought something because of an influencer. I'm not going to do that maths, but you can work that one out yourselves. So as I was saying, search has a place in creator economy, absolutely. So does word of mouth, reviews, Reddit, Trustpilot, any of those. That is massive right now because people are not feeling like they can trust what they see online a lot nowadays. So they're going back to the traditional, well, what did John say down the road? Or what does Mum say? Or what does Sarah say? They're asking people again. But also, they're searching on TikTok. Well, what does my creator, who I follow, say? You know, there's people I follow that they've nothing to do with DIY, but they're just lifestyle people that I find funny. And they'll put red masks on and do silly dances. Well, I want a red mask now. If anyone doesn't know what a red mask is, it just makes your skin gorgeous, apparently. I don't know. But it's that subconscious of, they're not getting paid to do that, they're organically talking about it. I love that creator, and therefore that's what they're doing all the time. So it's that trust. If that person was to do an ad with a red mask company, I'd absolutely buy it, because she's been talking about red masks the whole time. So reviews, word of mouth, UGC influence. So getting the creator to do user-generated content and then putting that out as a paid ad it's like chef's kiss to me. I think it's brilliant, and that increases the click-through behaviour. We're seeing that quite popular right now in the creator economy. A lot of brands are coming to us and saying, we don't want your audience actually, we just want that creator's face and voice, and we want them to create a video, and then we're going to put it out as an advert to a specific audience that we found for the brand that work. So that's where the search and the creator economy come together. And search authority is weakened when the brand trust is low, and that's when fundamental marketing isn't working. That's everything that you were just talking about. And it's hard then to work with a creator if their fundamental marketing isn't quite right. We've had brands come to us, startups, where I think they're brilliant, but they've got so much more work to do, and I can't put a creator's face in front of that yet until they've got the rest of the stuff sorted, if that makes sense. So they've got some more work to do. So how am I out of time, Andy? Am I okay? Okay, thank you. So the new digital customer journey. So creators play a part at every single step. So attention is definitely captured in the feed. So in your discovery, in your scroll, in whatever it is that you're looking at, that's where it catches your attention. Scroll, 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 stop. Scroll, 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 stop. You know, within the first 1 to 3 seconds is typically when people are stopping and looking at content. The interest is built through the relatable creator content, and that goes back to what I was saying with, I didn't follow DIYs until I came into this niche. I maybe followed one, and it was the biggest one that's on there at the moment, which is Belgravia House or whatever it is. Beautiful mansion, very aspirational, something that I would love to have one day, but I am not going to have anytime soon. Love their journey, love their story, follow what they do. Now my feed is full of DIYs, as you can imagine. But the interest is built through that relatable creator content. And the trust is earned through the real proof. So this is when the ads and the partnerships with brands and creators are showing organically before they partner that they are already talking about this brand. So if Scott was to use DeWalt tools, for example, which he has done, he was brand ambassador for a while, but then he went to Makita tools, people are like, hang on a minute, you told me DeWalt was best like 2 weeks ago, and now you're telling me Makita. Which is it? So this is where the trust is broken sometimes. And the credible creators that stick to their guns and say, this is right for me and I'm only going to use this brand, they're the ones that are winning. And those are the ones that brands are winning with as well. It's the ones that are not selling themselves out. The only ones that we work with as well, might I say. Action is validated through search, and advocacy is sustained through community. Now, community online is very different to the community in person, as you can imagine, but you will probably find that your algorithm has a community of people based on what you're watching and searching. My algorithm has changed very much in the last year to where it is now. It used to be mum content. So I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old for context, and it would be West Midlands activities, blah, 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 or mum hacks for this. Now it's founder energy and coaching and blah, blah, blah. Very different, because obviously the algorithm has put me in a different place. But now, apart from being with all the mum community who are moaning about all the nappies that are changing, it's now in the founder energy, and it's moaning about all the emails they have to deal with. So it's still in a community, and I'm still talking to these people indirectly. It's weird, because I feel like I know them, but I've never met them. But this is where it is now. It's online, it's digital. So closing that gap. How brands rebuild that trust? Basically, using creators, working with creators, should I say, not using, working with creators as trust validators in I hate saying this because it's just an oversaturated word, but in a truly authentic way. As I said, that whole Scott DIY working with DeWalt, he wouldn't be able to work with another tool brand. I don't think he ever would either. That's the kind of way that you want to work with creators. Prioritise accuracy and authenticity. So that's going back to the search element of things. There are ways that now with Google Console, you can actually connect with creators in a way that finds you specific information to that audience and what's working well for the brand. Encourage reviews, ratings, UGC. This is what brands can do, obviously. If they encourage reviews, you're going to build that trust. And the ratings as well, but then working with creators from a user generated content, it's the ultimate pinnacle for me. Responding humanly, not corporately. This is something I've seen so many brands do, and it works well when it's done right. Aldi's the perfect example because they respond with humour. And then aligning creator content with search intent. So, as I said there, trust is the new battleground, and I can't wait to see how it plays out over the next 2 to 5 years. Thank you very much. Conscious I've talked a lot. If you've got any questions at all, I'm going to be around for a little bit. Appreciate your time, and apologies if I've bored you with DIY content, but I absolutely love it. So, thank you.